Jeremy Sisto from Clueless, FBI, 6 Feet Under, and so much more is on the KJ Today Show now. Hello, Jeremy.
Hey, how are you?
Oh, I am so excited. I mean, you're making me look good on a Monday coming on my show, man. Thank you.
Oh, thanks for having me.
This is the KJ Today Show, and our job is to bring the positive vibes of pop culture, people to know, and pets. And I think you check off all those categories. So let's get started first with we've got a lot of fans a little concerned about tomorrow night's episode of FBI because it's called Consequences. That is pretty daunting, Jeremy. Can you give us a little bit of insight on what we can expect?
Yes, I would love to. So sorry. Yeah, so there is consequences, and a lot of the stuff that has Jubal's been dealt with has been trying to figure out what his where his priorities are. His family and his job are both hugely high on his priorities, and so it's an understandable question. There's a potential terrorist attack coming, or his son's in the hospital, and he has to sit with him, and it's so. This episode, we really the writers delved into that kind of idea in a little different way. Jubal has had a past where he was ethically not living to the same level that he lives to at present. And so one of his good friends from the past who helped him not get into trouble back when he was being really self-destructive asked him to help him in a way that doesn't really align with Jubal's present day morals, and so it's an argument that I see both sides of, which always makes for a great dramatic sort of story. It also deals with the fentanyl issue, which is obviously that's a big thing that's in the world these days, and so it's going to be a good episode. I haven't seen it, but I really enjoyed doing it. Benito Martinez from The Shield and American Crime and a million other things plays my friend, and we had a great time.
Well, I did want to ask. I always, go to social media and ask on the show, for our followers, like, what questions do you have for Jeremy Sisto? And Megan's question was like, can he stay on FBI forever? And I thought about that. One, you've had such an opportunity to develop Jubal, and now you can at least tell Megan that you'll be around until 2027. How's that feel?
Well, I mean, listen, they could fire me tomorrow, so I never count on anything. But I love being on the show. It's the real FBI has a room that is the room that we base our JOC, our Joint Operation Command Center, on, and there's representatives from 50 different organizations. They're all working off their own databases. It's a real time thing that. A person in Jubal's position has to, conduct all that information, and so I love trying to make that work as a device. It's something that's difficult because we need all the turns and twists to be clear, and I'm sure at times in there it does not feel clear because there's so much information. But for me to have the ambition of always trying to bring the real life thing in there. And the challenges of making it a job that I foresee being interested in being on for a long time if they'll have me.
Well, one of the other questions kind of ties into that. Tammy wanted to know, people watch, procedurals, and they're like, "Oh, I could totally solve crimes now." Do you have any feelings at this point that you could go be an agent yourself? Are you similar to Jubal at all in those talents?
No, I'm not great at confrontation. I'm also very forgiving. There's a lot of things that would make it very difficult for me to be an actual agent, I think. But the version of Jubal, the part where he is, really likes to empower people around him, and it doesn't like to talk down to people. He's like, tries to see everyone, as if they're on the same team, and he's really good at leading people in that way. And I think I could probably, I think I could probably rise to that.
And and talking about some of your other projects, Jeremy, I asked people like, what do you know Jeremy best for? And yeah, I mean, there was so much response. FBI is just so loved. But I mean, 6 Feet Under and Law and Order and Clueless. Is there a particular role that you find that people recognize you most for?
Yeah, just when you're a part of like different like pop culture things, 6 Feet Under obviously has a very specific was a very specific period, and if you were watching during that time, likely you were really inspired by how new this kind of storytelling seemed, and maybe excited about this character and how he was being portrayed. And so you see people who were like just were a part of that. It was like a part of their lives back then, and that's something that means a lot. Clueless, you have women mainly, but some men who, as teen it, preteens, they watched it 6,000 times. So and they're going to recognize you in a certain way. And then you have a bunch of people who have seen every Law and Order episode a bunch of times, and so when you watch things that much and the person's on your screen, it just feels like the person. So it's always and then there's other projects I've done I've done a lot of different things, and so there's other random things that people will be like, "Yo, I used to love that thing," and so it's cool. I mean, I'm always trying to. I don't have it horrible like big stars like where everyone's like mobbing you all the time, but whenever somebody comes up, I always try to just honor whatever thing is that they they're excited about, that they saw me on, that feels like special to them. And because I remember the first time I met somebody that I'd only seen on the screen, and it definitely had it was definitely a trip that I wanted to honor.
Well, and switching over to we always talk about pets, and Kristen, who's listening right now, said there was a time. She said it was years back, but you were on the Steve Harvey show. You were holding a rabbit and talking about all the pets that you had. So she said, one, why was he holding that rabbit, and two, how are all of his pets?
Right.
Do you even remember why you were holding a rabbit?
I'm trying to remember. I remember the rabbit. I remember holding it. I feel like those shows are funny. They're especially like the newer shows. I feel like that was on the newer front, and I remember one that was also the Nick Cannon show. Like some of the newer ones, you have these producers who are just like throwing a bunch of stuff up against the wall, seeing what sticks. They're like, let's just try to do something. And yeah, that was fun holding that rabbit. But yeah, that probably had to do with the fact that we have rabbits and a bunch of different animals around here. So they were like, somebody get a rabbit so you can hold it. It's interesting.
And like you said, it's interesting what people remember. That was something that, Kristen has held on to. Like, man, I remember when he was holding that rabbit on Steve Harvey. Well, thank you so much. Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I was just laughing with you. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I know that we gotta wrap it up here, so I wanted to say it's been an absolute joy to have you on the show, Jeremy, and I hope everything continues to go so well for FBI, and we'll be watching Consequences tonight. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for joining us for another celebrity interview. Of course, the KJ Today show isn't just about talking to celebs, it's about hanging out with you. Join us live on Wednesday nights for pop culture, people to know, and pets. The KJ Today show on YouTube. Subscribe and watch live Wednesday nights at 7.